A little bit later on. This is the old Elks Lodge building across the street from the Fond du Lac Public Library. It's going to open to the public. It's the home of Mod Truss, a Fond du Lac company. They build platforms that you've seen on television at sporting events like the Super Bowl. They operate out of that building, and now they're going to open up the building for kind of a cafe and bar for the public. And Ann Culver, who runs Annie's Fountain City Cafe on Main Street, along with her partner, will be opening up cafe and bar inside the old historic Elks Club building. She'll join us a little bit later on in the program. We are under a flood, the entire state's under a flood watch for the next couple of days. National Weather Service meteorologist Ben Miller will join us on the next segment of the show. A 5-hour armed standoff with police ended peacefully this morning in the village of North Fond du Lac. North Fond du Lac Police Chief Darren Pouch will join us in a little bit. The leader of the State Department of Health Services says Governor Tony Evers' administration is dedicated to convincing skeptical Republicans to go along with Medicaid expansion. One of those skeptical Republicans is State Senator Dan Fine of Fond du Lac. We'll find out if he can be convinced. He'll join us shortly after the bottom of the hour. This week we've been interviewing candidates for Fond du Lac City Council. There are 6 of them running for 3 open seats in the April 2nd election. We had 2 of the candidates on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, and the final 2 today. Challengers Stephanie O'Malley and Daniel Degner. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, pleasure having both of you on the show. Let's start by telling the listeners about yourselves, why you're running for council. Stephanie, off mic, you were saying born and raised in Fond du Lac?
Born and raised. All 31 years of my life. My kids have been born and raised here too.
All right.
Always lived on the west side of town, so.
All right. Went to Fond du Lac High School?
Went to Fond du Lac High School. Graduated, first class to graduate all 4 years. 2005, so.
Unbelievable. Seems like only yesterday, doesn't it?
I wish it did. I wish it did. But
so what do you do?
I'm actually an assistant manager at Culver's over on West 23. It's a busy job, but I enjoy it. I have always been into the food portion of working. So now that I'm actually able to manage a restaurant, it's really fun. It's really eye-opening. It's work, but it's fun. I like it.
All right. Dan Degner is running for Fond du Lac City Council. You are a native of the El Dorado area, correct?
Born in Fond du Lac, and then I've lived in, my mailing address has been in Fond du Lac for the past 12 years, but 4th generation in Fond du Lac County and the city of Fond du Lac.
All right. I first met you, though, because of an issue that
Correct.
we've talked about over a number of months regarding the placement of out-of-county sex offenders in the town of El Dorado, where your parents still live.
Correct. Well, my father lives there, but
All right.
my mom and stepdad live in the city of Fond du Lac.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tell the listeners about yourself.
Yeah, so just a little bit about myself is, like I said, I'm 4th generation in the city of Fond du Lac, and so my family's always had a passion for serving our community, whether that was building churches in our downtown district, or whether that was creating the ice rink here in town, or whether that was serving and leading the Chamber of Commerce, and many other things in our city that they have served in. And one thing that my dad and my family has taught me is to always stand up and serve our community, to do what's right when there's a need. And so back in August, I did that when I saw a need, especially in our county, where there was irresponsible sex offender placement with high risk, likely to reoffend offenders, living just 2 homes away from a young family in Fond du Lac, in El Dorado. And so when I did this, I was surprised by the amount of emails, phone calls, and parents I talked to at doors that were worried because they were sending their kids to elementary and middle schools in our city where there was convicted sex offenders of minors. They lived just next door or across the street from those schools.
Do you work in Fond du Lac?
I serve at a Central Rock Church, and I'm also a board of director at Caris Pregnancy Center.
Did you go to school? When you were growing up, did you go to school in Fond du Lac?
I wanted to, but court order after my parents' divorce was Rosendale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you went to a great school district in
Yeah.
Rosendale, one of the best. All right. And then after graduating from high school?
Yep, so I went to Liberty University in Virginia, and I actually graduated early because I had a call to ministry and also a call to local politics. And so I knew that I wanted to get back to this community and serve, and so that's why I graduated in 3 years instead of 4, so I can move back and serve this community as soon as possible.
All right. Why are you running for city council?
So similar issues that I just told you about was I saw a need. I saw a need with parents that didn't feel safe sending their kids to school in our city. I saw needs where we were raising our taxes, and so as a board of director at CARES Pregnancy Center, I'm really worried, especially when we're having expenditures in the city, because a lot of our clients are young single mothers that are teenagers. And so every time we spend money, that makes it harder on them. They have to work more so that they can pay their rent and that they can pay their mortgages.
All right. And Stephanie, why are you running for council?
Now, this is my first ever political candidacy ever. So this is all really new
You didn't
to
run
me.
for student body president?
I didn't. The most I did in high school, I was on the swimming and diving team. That was about it. But I myself, we live a couple blocks away from Playmore Park, and we saw a need of, actually there is a sex offender house 2 blocks away from that park, and therefore it's a couple blocks away from each of my kids' schools, because I got 1 at Savish and 2 at Parkside. So when I was looking to get into the community, I found out that there wasn't any sort of representation on the west side of Fond du Lac. So that kind of gave me the push I needed to see some changes coming over there. Because now, don't get me wrong, I am glad to make Fond du Lac the best it can be. I've been here all my life, and I've had opportunities to leave, but I never wanted to leave. I just want to make it better. Now, my kids are the future of this city, and I want to make it the best that I can for them. Now, I was a teen mom, and I had to put a lot of stuff on hold for them. So now that I'm older and my children are older, I want to show them that I can still do something for them other than just be their mom. So I'm looking to get out for my community to make it better for the next generation of this city. So
Let me ask you this. Do both of you, Stephanie, I'll ask you this first, do you feel safe in Fond du Lac? Do you look at Fond du Lac and think it's a safe community? From time to time you hear about things that happen here, shooting incidents from time to time,
is it worrying?
drug deals.
Is it worrying? Yes. It's I'm not naive enough to think that nothing goes on here. But at the same time, I do feel safe. I'm not worried about my safety. So, yeah, I believe it's a pretty safe statement to say that, yeah, we're safe. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one thing that Greg knows is I accidentally knocked on his door this past week, but
Yes.
I've knocked doors on probably over 90 streets in our city for this campaign, and don't tell my insurance agent, but I do leave my keys in my car unlocked. And so I feel like it's safe. I feel safe walking around town. I feel safe talking to people. However, there are some things that worry me. I had a parent reach out to me because his 12-year-old son doesn't feel comfortable in his home because of different drug dealers and different crimes in his area, that he locks his door. And I think that's really an issue that we have in Fond du Lac, is that we should have our kids and our families should feel safe.
All right. What would be your top priority if you are elected to the council? What do you have a list of things that you'd like to see accomplished in the city?
Yep. So I have 3 things. The first one is improving public safety. So the first thing with that is especially putting barriers for where sex offenders that have been convicted of assaulting minors can live, and that would be at least 500 feet from parks and schools. We actually recently this week had an offender that was moved and placed into a house just 350 feet away from a park. Another aspect with improving public safety is getting a lot of the drug homes, the drug dealers out of our community. I've talked to so many small business owners and so many other people that are saying it's tough for them to find people to move into our community because of a lot of the drugs that are increasing. And especially with our sheriff's and DA's office, they are overwhelmed by all their drug crimes. The second thing I want to do is common sense budgeting. So like I talked about before with CARES Pregnancy Center, I want to make sure that I'm fighting for the taxpayer, making sure that we're using our money wisely, and making sure that all of our expenditures, I can make sure and go back to our women that we serve and say this was a good expenditure and this is why. And then lastly, it's empowering local businesses. So at the end of the day, government doesn't create jobs, but government can create an environment where jobs can be created and businesses can succeed and thrive.
All right. Stephanie, what about you? Do you have some ideas in mind of what you would like to accomplish if you were elected?
I mean, as I said before, I want Fond du Lac to be the best it can be. I want to make sure that other parts of Fond du Lac are not being neglected, to make sure that we can make it safe so there aren't, sex offenders that live in 350 yards from a park. And then, even then, when I was doing my research and people were helping me with my research, I found out that a lot of the west side of town doesn't vote. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. They don't know who to talk to. And I've learned to become a voice. I want to become a voice for people in case they can't get their word out. I'm just here to make it better for my kids and the rest to come, my grandkids. I want the best.
A couple of weeks ago, the Retlaw Hotel partially opened. Their new restaurant opened up. We're going to be talking with Annie Culver from Annie's Fountain City Cafe about their new endeavor at the Elks Club, which is pretty cool. When you look at downtown, the Thelma Center for the Arts has been open for a while now. How do you feel about downtown Fond du Lac? There are people who live and have moved. A lot of younger people have moved downtown Fond du Lac, and they call downtown Fond du Lac their home. When you look at downtown Fond du Lac, do you see it as a vibrant place to live and to work and to do business and go out for dinner and to shop? Or do you think that more needs to be done? What do you think?
I mean, with looking at downtown, I think there's been a lot of improvements, and I see that a lot of people are seeing that there's been improvements and they want to come down there. So as far as the vibrancy of it, I think it's great. It's really awesome to see. Like, I worked with Ann Culver actually for a period of time, and congrats to her on what she's doing. She does a great job on what she's doing. So putting more people on the map and helping them achieve their dreams of what they want to do, I'm all for it. I think it looks wonderful. It looks fun. I honestly don't go down Main Street very often, but when I do, it's fun to look at all the people that are hanging out outside.
You feel good about what's happening?
Yeah.
You think
it's nice to see a lot of people hanging out there. And
all right. Dan?
Yeah, I'd still say we're still recovering from that recession that took a really deep hit in our downtown area. I think we're doing a lot of things to start moving in the right direction. And I think the way that we can continue to improve it is by empowering these local businesses, by keeping our regulations down, especially our unnecessary regulations, even getting rid of them. And so that's why I actually have a lot of support with business owners in the downtown community. And as far as I'm aware, I'm the only candidate that has signs in downtown shops here on Main Street.
All right, I'll get you both out on this. When people go to the polls on April 2nd, Dan, we'll start with you. Why should they cast their ballot for Dan Degner?
Yeah, so I'm going to bring a fresh perspective to this city council. And so one of the things that people have loved and gotten on board with our message is this exactly. And so people, the biggest thing that I found while knocking doors in every single district and every single ward in our city is the biggest issue isn't our taxes are too high or that they don't offer a service that they want. It's that they feel unrepresented and unheard. And so that's why I promised to get back to constituents within 24 hours. I promised to go knock on their door, give them my personal email, give them my phone number, and make sure that they are heard. This message has been heard, and it's been just adored by everyone on the left and the right of the political sphere. And that's why I'm also I'm the only candidate that's endorsed by the past 3 city council presidents.
All right. And Stephanie O'Malley, why should people vote for you?
Like I said, I've put a lot on hold in my life for my family, and I think a lot of people do that too. Now, I want people to know that I'm here for them. I've always been a caring type of person. Now, again, this is my first time ever running. I don't know specifics. I don't know basics of a lot of different things. But I have the heart and the passion to want to help people. And that's my love for everybody comes from. I want to make sure everybody is okay. And I think that's an authentic feeling that some people don't always get, and it's nice to have a fresh perspective, the passion that they're going to get from me. So I'm not just looking to just be on city council. That's not my main reason. My main reason is for everybody here to have the best life they can have.
All right, very good. Well, Stephanie O'Malley and Dan Degner, we greatly appreciate both of you stopping by and wish you both the best of luck on April 2nd.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Greg.
Thrivent Financial.